I'd hook up at the roller rink. It was all about hooking up back then. So it wasn't it wasn't about dating one person exclusively.
It was about
meeting
everything.
people, yeah, all the time, somebody different. Hey guys, it's John and Jackie of Openlove101.com. Welcome to our show. Be sure and click on the blue bell. If you're watching our YouTube channel, you'll be notified of upcoming videos. Go to Openlove101.com, sign up for our email list. You'll be notified of events, blogs, things, places we're going to be, et cetera, et cetera. What are we talking about today?
Okay, so today we're going to delve into the life of John.
The life of John.
We talk like ad nauseum, I feel like sometimes, about me and my upbringing with the, very religious, conservative background that I had, and then making my break into the world of non-monogamy. And so we talk a lot about that, but we really haven't talked too much about you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think today would be a good day to do that, and how your upbringing influenced your adult life and your sexuality. And, the one thing that you do say quite often is, I've been like this ever since I was 18, so, but it's like, been like what?
Yeah, probably even before that. I mean, I was initially raised religiously. I mean, my family was Italian Catholics, and the first few years of school, I was in a Catholic school. I just questioned many, many things about it. And eventually, if they weren't going to kick me out, I mean, it made me, I got really ill. I was always worried about going to school because I got in trouble with my nun all the time.
For
questioning some of the things that they were teaching us, and really wanting to explore more about the solar system and the universe. In third grade, I really loved science, and it just seemed to contradict sometimes some of the things they were saying. And I just questioned it, and I would get in trouble for questioning. They really, were hard on me about that. And it made me fearful of going. And I ended up getting sick and developing some kind of ulcer in my stomach. And I ended up in the hospital. And then my mom, I was finally able to share about my fears, and she pulled me out of there and put me in public school at that time. So, I mean, I think I would have gone down the same path regardless, because, I mean, I enjoyed school no matter which one it was, whether it was a Catholic school or public school. But it really just had to do with how we were being taught there. I had a problem with. And so early on, probably in seventh grade, I think we were, we had a lot of freedom. We lived, especially back then for us, as kids back then, we could roam the streets. I'd ride my bicycle a couple of miles to the hills, to the dirt hills, and meet my friends there. And I don't think our parents back then
had no idea where we were.
Track of us. And there was a big field across the way from where we lived in Wichita, and there was a tree, like a group of trees, and some guy would mow that field and dump the grass clippings in there. So it was hidden in these trees. And I went in there one time. It was like a hideout. And there was a stack of Playboy magazines. I think that's the first time I saw Playboy and Penthouse magazines. And, if you were not allowed to go outside, that wouldn't happen. I mean, today there's internet, so
yeah,
probably kids are seeing
I
it
can't
even
even
at a younger
imagine.
age.
Yeah.
But I don't think it really had anything to do with my sexuality or the openness to what happened. The first time I really had, by the way, in Catholic school, I kissed a girl in first grade, and I got in so much trouble for that. And we wrote each other love notes, and our nanny found those, and I got in so much trouble for that. So I don't know. And I think I was always just kind of a rebel.
You were writing love notes in first grade?
Yeah, like, oh, you're so sweet, and I like what you had on today. And
you were already like a player back in first grade.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I liked girls as far back as I can remember.
And but what was it like growing up? I mean, like, what were your parents like? So you got in trouble in first grade for that. But I mean, as far as like any kind of teachings did you have any kind of stigmas about sex or relationships or, I mean, because you've just kind of been open a long time, and it's just like I'm trying to figure out like where that openness stems from.
I mean, my mom and dad were divorced by then. By the time I was in third grade, I don't remember when it was exactly, but probably sometime between first and third grade. And then my mom was a nightclub singer, so we always had someone that stayed with us at night while she was at work. And I never really, I mean, I don't remember talking about sex with my mom. And by the time if we did, I already knew.
Yeah.
I don't know how I knew, but I knew. There was I think it was probably seventh grade was the first time I played Spin the Bottle. And we
Yeah.
found like this secret, we had a little hideaway and, or it was in some, maybe it may be in our basement. And, you know, when you're getting dared to do something, so I mean, that's really the first time anything really happened. Like I remember I lost, or it pointed at me and someone told me what to do. And I had to go into the closet with this girl for 5 minutes. I mean, I don't even think we just like were scared to death in there. Like, oh, what are we going to do? And then we get out and people are asking us, did you guys have sex? You know, I mean, and it's like, no. I mean, I don't think I said, I don't think I can't imagine I would have lied about it, but I definitely didn't have sex then because I remember the first time I did. And, you know, so it's kind of stuff like that. It's just, I mean, there was a group of us and I'd end up, if there were 6 or 8 of us, I'd end up kissing all the girls that were there at some point. I mean, there didn't seem to be anything wrong with it. I mean, no one got jealous. We were just friends. So I never really thought about that, but it may have started with that. There was never this.
Did all the girls know that you were kissing all of them?
Yeah, we did it in front of each other.
Oh, interesting. Oh, so then maybe it's just me.
You never played Spin the Bottle like that?
I did play, yes, I did play Spin the Bottle. In that setting, yes. Okay, if you're talking about Spin the Bottle, then yes. I mean, that was okay. Isn't that funny how if you're doing it as a game, it becomes okay, but if you're just doing it outside of a game, it can mean something different.
Yeah.
But you've always, do you think it's because you're a guy that you have a more relaxed view of your sexuality? Like you didn't have to keep track of how often you were having sex with somebody or wanting to, or
No, because I think most of my friends in junior high, high school, and even as a young adult were into monogamy. They were looking for someone to be with, only be with. So that was the goal.
Was that your goal ever?
Yes, but young, no. I never thought about it. I mean, I remember having a couple girlfriends in high school, but they were short term.
Right.
1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, yeah, I mean, I don't know why they ended so quickly, but they did. I never really dated anyone in high school.
Yeah.
When I was a senior a little bit, but even those didn't last long. I didn't like, I see friends that dated the same girl for 3 years, got married and had kids, you know, and
right.
I just wasn't like that. I don't know why. I mean, I was kind of I was smart until I started drinking, and I was still smart, but I quit learning.
Do you think drinking I mean, because most people who watch this know that you've been sober for, at the time of this filming, 35 years. So, you know, you've been in that world a long time, but do you think that played a role at all in your sexuality?
You mean when I was in high school getting drunk?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's definitely, you know, going to parties or hanging out with people and drinking, and I mean, I didn't have any inhibitions, but the girls did. Maybe they got lowered because of the parties. So, I mean, I think it definitely affected people making out and having sex, and for sure. And then, you know, at that time, this is something else I don't really think happens anymore in America, but there was a street in Wichita called Douglas. And on Friday and Saturday night, we would get in our cars, or I'd take my motorcycle down there and we would drive up and down, how many blocks? Maybe 10 blocks of it.
Yeah.
And you would just go back and forth, and it was bumper to bumper traffic, so stop and go. And you'd roll down your windows or say, hey, I'll meet you over here. And then you'd go meet new people from it was all the high schools did it.
I mean, it was such a big deal that we were on like the nightly news. I mean, it was Dragging Douglas was what it was called.
Yeah.
I did it one time, but I think there were people like you that did it
I did
probably
it every weekend.
weekend.
I mean, if I wanted to meet someone to hook up with, I would just go down to Douglas. I mean, when I was 16 years old and 17 years old. And then maybe later, the drinking age back then was 18 to go to 3-2 bars, 3-2 beer. Do they even have 3-2 beer anymore? I mean,
probably.
So, I mean, we would go to those bars and meet people and hook up, and I'd hook up at the roller rink. It was all about hooking up back then. So it wasn't it wasn't about dating one person exclusively.
It was about
meeting
everything.
people, all the time, somebody different.
Yeah.
When I moved away from Wichita, I was 18. I moved from Wichita
to Tampa,
Florida. And I'm going to go back one second. I lived with my mom and my stepdad for a short period of time. And a buddy of mine and I went out dragging Douglas, and we met a couple girls, and it was late. I don't know, 3 or 4 in the morning. And we decided, let's go have breakfast. And so my buddy lived with his ex-stepdad or something like that. They weren't, they really were just friends. And so we went to my house and we grabbed some things we needed. Like there were some spices I needed to make some omelets that I like to make. And we grabbed some champagne and had a great time. I went back home the next day, and boy, did I get in trouble, because my dad said I took one of his really expensive bottles of champagne. I didn't. I really remember taking one of the cheaper ones, but I don't know. Who knows? They told me I wasn't allowed to bring girls over to the house anymore. I was like, well, then I'll just move out. So I moved out. So that was it. That very day, sex and girls and hanging out with girls. I mean, it was a big part of my life early on.
Yeah. I would
to where I would make a decision like,
you moved
I'm going to
out.
get a job and pay my own rent. Anyway, I moved to Tampa when I was like 18. And my first night there, I had a threesome with 2 girls. I mean, it really has just been that way all my life. And now I did have longer term relationships where I was just with one person. When I was drinking, I say one person, it appeared as though I was one person, but I wasn't being faithful.
Right.
Once I got sober, I was faithful to whoever I was with, but early on, that wasn't necessarily the case.
So did getting sober change how you were sexually? Or were you still?
So in AA, we do what's called a sex inventory, and we kind of define how we're going to be as a
sober person.
Yeah. And I didn't want to hurt anybody. And there were probably times I didn't want to manipulate. And there were times in drinking where I did those things. And so that's really what changed. I was going to be more honest, not more, definitely more, but I was going to be honest in what I wanted about who I was. I wasn't going to try and manipulate if somebody didn't want to do anything, or I wasn't going to say, oh my God, I can just feel it. You're the love of my life, and not really feel that way. So that definitely changed me in that way. It didn't change me from the fact that I love sex and being with girls, but the way I went about it was different. In my first year of sobriety, I didn't go out with anybody. And then I had a girlfriend that was also in AA. We dated for probably, I don't remember exactly, but at least a year, and lived together. And that was really my first long-term honest relationship. And it was strictly monogamous. But over the years, I had some girlfriends that it wasn't so much. They definitely weren't monogamous because they were cheating on me. So I think that kind of molded me into who I am today, and being more accepting of the fact that women like to have multiple sex partners as well. I was kind of taught it was always the guys.
Yeah.
But my experience with some of the girls I dated, it was them too. And there was a point once I got into the nightclub business and the swing club business where I would offer that, we can have an open relationship or be swingers. And some of these girlfriends wouldn't do that, but they would cheat.
Right.
And I never understood that, other than maybe they would be too jealous with me doing that as well. So they they found, and there could be other things going on with that. You know, those girls weren't necessarily sober, so maybe alcohol played a role.
Interesting. But really, you would say the core of who you are has been consistent.
Yeah. The thing that changed most dramatically is the level of honesty I have,
Yeah.
and that wasn't the case when I was drinking, for sure.
Is there anything else that you think would be important for us to know about you?
I mean, I think the times where somebody would cheat on me, early, the first times it happened, it was really hard. It hurt, and I think it does for anybody. And I really started to define, like, accept that this is how relationships are going to be. I don't want to be hurt like this. I mean, it was really painful. And so I went to multiple different therapists till I found one that really worked for me, and had me doing the work to change who I was, and really establish boundaries for myself. I don't think I really had the boundaries. It's not a discussion I ever had with anyone, as when I was young, and I didn't really know how to deal with it. So,
Would you say having boundaries made your sex life better?
well, not my sex life, but my relationships.
Your relationships?
Yes. So now if someone crosses, if I have a boundary like that, which is really about honesty with your partner and being faithful, and if that gets crossed, I would move on. I don't want to be with someone like that that's going to be dishonest with me.
Right.
And I want to give the same. I think it's mutual. And to be able to do that, to be able to really see, like, why I was accepting of that, why I would accept someone cheating on me and stay with that person and let it happen over and over and over again and keep getting hurt. I think the therapy really helped me to understand why I would allow that to happen to me. I mean, not that it was happening to me, but why I would allow it.
Right.
Uh, Today, I don't do that so much. I mean, maybe from time to time, I might let someone cross a boundary with me, but I really put my foot down today, and I let people know who I am,
Mhm.
and that this is an acceptable behavior for me, and if you want to be a part of my life. And that's a big difference. Has given me confidence, self-confidence, more self-esteem. Because when that's happening to you, you really feel like less than, like,
Mhm.
because you do feel like it's being done to you in the moment. Like, why I'm not providing? What am I not providing to this person? So they would seek someone else out for attention, and you would blame yourself for it.
Yeah.
And that was part of why I would stay in those relationships, because maybe I need to change so they'll stop doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a horrible feeling. Anyone going through that, I mean, if it hadn't been for the therapist, I don't know that I would be where I am today with you. And those experiences help prepare me for the relationship that you and I have. I don't think we would have the relationship we have if it weren't for the stuff that I had to go through.
Yeah.
And so that's another key thing to remember, is we're going through stuff that's really painful. Sometimes it's so hard, we don't know how we're going to get to the other side of it. But once I have, and once you do get to the other side of it, you can begin to see how it benefited you in some way. And that's what life's all about. It's about experiencing things, no matter if it feels good or bad or right or wrong. Experiencing, getting through it, learning about it, and then using whatever you learned in your next relationship with others. So,
Would you say that since you've grown through that and you've gone through the steps and you did that inner work, would you say that now your interactions with people, how is it different than it was before you did that work? Like for you, like what do you,
interaction with
with other play partners or other people, other sexual interludes that you have with people, would you say, like, how has it benefited you
well,
from before to
I
today?
think mostly it's benefiting when they're in relationships.
But how does it benefit you in that? I mean, do you feel more secure in those interactions now because you have more self-esteem,
no,
or you have your
absolutely.
boundaries?
I thought I really said that, but yeah, definitely it makes me feel more secure in my relationship. And with my relationship with others, I've made decisions. There have been times I've decided not to be with that person because I felt as though maybe they weren't being honest with me about what they were looking for. And there was a time where I would say, well, yeah, I don't think this person's really being clear. She says she doesn't want to have children, but I think she probably really does. But she's telling me she doesn't, so I'm going to go for it anyway. Today I wouldn't. I would really go with my gut more.
Yeah.
And I used to not do that. I would just be selfish. It would be 100% selfish motivation to be with that person. So that's changed.
Well, this has been interesting. I think you've brought to light a lot of good points about growth and personal responsibility, and taking ownership of your own sexuality, and being responsible, and then by doing that, how it's created more abundance for you in sexual relationships that you've had since the growth.
Right.
And, being able to have those interactions with people that are going to benefit both of you, because you're being honest, you're with people that you require honesty from. And so, that bonding opportunity, that friendship opportunity is much more available because, it's something that you're choosing to do and something that you're taking ownership of. So I think those are all important aspects of whether you're in a monogamous relationship or a non-monogamous relationship, the core of who you are and how that emanates out is really important. So I appreciate you sharing your path with us.
Another, to finally, another interesting thing I find in it, if I were a science experiment and not having the societal norms really forced upon me, or at any time, I don't believe anyone ever told me that's what the goal is. I mean, you see it with I didn't see it with my mom, I didn't see it with my parents. I saw divorce early on.
Yeah.
So I was just left to my own. And how it turned out is I was a very sexual person. And so, like today, when we talk about being in the lifestyle or open relationships, it just, I've shared before how I think it's natural. And I think my history is really kind of shows that it is. If you're just left to your own and you don't have these really defined rules about how to have a relationship, it probably will be a relationship that's just more open like that. So,
food for thought, for sure.
Yes. Well, thanks, Jackie, for asking me these great questions. Thanks for joining us. Be sure and sign up for our email list at openlove101.com, and we can update you about this blog and events that Jackie and I have going on and many more. Also, we have a private community called Openlove 101 Plus. It's a membership-only community. And Jackie and I do more one-on-ones there. We have coffee time once a week and some behind-the-scenes things that you can be privy to. So go to our website at openlove101.com, click on Openlove 101 Plus, and check that out. All right. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.
See ya.